Oh, look, friends, we have a visitor. First thing, wishing you best of luck on your GED or your HiSET. So one thing that's really important for you to understand when you're taking your test is you need to make sure you have a thorough understanding of U.S. geography. So what are the major cities in the United States and where are they located? This will really help you on questions like this, as well as other types of questions on your GED or your HiSET. So friends, if you're new here, welcome. I'm so thankful to help you in this journey. Definitely hit the subscribe button because I have many videos for you. Now, teachers, down below is the link for you to join my email list, and I actually have a student retention checklist for you. So click the link down below, and students, I invite you to join Purely Persistent Academy, my membership that provides many resources to help you in this journey. Again, the link is right down below. So teachers, join the email list with the student retention checklist, and students, consider joining my membership. Okay, let's jump right into the video. The table below shows the 10 most populous U.S. cities from 1800 to 2000 in order from the most populous to the 10th most populous. Now, whenever I encounter a table on either a social studies test or a science test, I like to pause for just a moment and really analyze the table. What is going on in the table? So here we have our x-axis going across. We have 1800, 1850, 1900, 1950, and 2000. So broken into 50-year increments. And then on the y-axis going down, 1 through 10, the most populous to the 10th most populous. What is something you noticed about this table? Look at that top line. New York, New York. So that's always at the top. It's always the most populous U.S. city, or at least it has been for the last 200 years. But then you can see how in 1800 we were really looking at the Northeast, and then as our country migrated over to the Midwest and into the West, the largest cities really changed geographically speaking. Okay, let's jump into those questions. Question number 1. In 1850, how many of the 10 most populous cities were located in states that were part of the original 13 colonies? Okay, so it's really important that you have a general idea of what the original 13 colonies were. So when you look at a flag, the stripes, the 13 stripes, those are representing those 13 original colonies, right? And so those colonies were in the northeastern portion of the United States. So when I first did this question, I didn't read it thoroughly enough, and I was looking at 1800, not 1850, and I was counting on my fingers, and I was not getting the right answer. So it's really important to pay attention to those details. So here we're looking at 1850. Okay, so I have my 10 fingers. There are 10 cities. Let's just count which ones were part of the original 13 colonies. So first we have this column right here. So we have New York, New York. Yes, New York was one of the 13 original colonies. Maryland, yes. Baltimore. Boston, Massachusetts, yes. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, yes, Pennsylvania was. New Orleans, no. That one was not one of the original 13 colonies. Cincinnati, Ohio, no. We're moving a little bit more toward the Midwest. Brooklyn, New York, yes, New York. St. Louis, Missouri, again, that's in the Midwest, so that is not one of the original 13 colonies. Spring Garden, Pennsylvania, and Albany, New York. That gives us a total of 7 of the 10 most populous cities in 1850 were a part of the original 13 colonies. So C here is our answer. Question number 2. In which of the following time periods was population growth in the South and West most evident? Okay, so remember, it's important that you have a general idea of geography. So looking at 1800 to 1850, looks like we're starting to get a little bit more into the South and the Midwest, but not the far West. Okay, into 1900, looks like we do have San Francisco. So that is going a little bit more toward the west, but it's still not very prevalent. We're still quite a bit in the northwest or northeast here. Okay, 1950, again, we're going in, we have one California, but that's about it here in the 1950s. Other than that, we're still in the east. And look at 2000. So here we have Los Angeles, California. And then we're in Houston, Texas. So that's in the south. Phoenix, Arizona, southwest. San Diego, south, or I guess west, southwest. Dallas and San Antonio. So we have quite a few in the south and west in 2000. So that means there was a lot of population growth between 1950 and 2000. So right here, D is our answer. Question 3. Which of the following two statements, if either, is supported by the information in the table? So let's just look at this one statement at a time. So number 1, there were fewer people living in the Northeast in 2000 than in 1800. Okay, so yes, we've migrated, right? We're no longer heavily in the Northeast. We still are, but we're spread throughout the country, right? But population growth has increased exponentially, right? We're no longer, a couple million people, right? We have upwards of 400 million people in the United States. And so this chart here does not indicate the actual population. So the population is actually probably significantly more now in the 2000s than it was in the 1800s. But there are other cities within the United States that are more populous and other regions that are more populous. So this doesn't really indicate anything because it doesn't have those specific numbers. Okay, number 2, the list of the 10 most populous cities in 2050 will be the same as the 2000 list. Can we tell this by looking at the chart? No, we can't. We don't know what the most populous city in 2050 will be. And based on the chart here, the table, it will likely be changing and altering. So we can't really tell that either. So then that leaves D as our answer, neither 1 nor 2. This should say 2. There we go. Boop. Okay, friends, I want to remind you to drink water. Okay, when you're studying, when you're about to take a test, make sure that you're drinking a lot of water so that you stay very well hydrated. If your brain is not hydrated, then you will not do as well on your test. Okay, so drink up lots of water, and sometimes I even like to throw in a little bit of flavoring in my water just to make things interesting, but drink up those water. So cheers, friends. Question 4. Which of the following occurrences most likely explains why Detroit appears on the list of most populous cities in 1950? So if we look right here, you can see it's well up on the list, right? And even in 2000, it still made the list. So think about Detroit. What do you know about Detroit? So Detroit is in Michigan, and it's a huge automobile industry. They have many factories there. So it wasn't on the list until 1950, right? Because what happened? Automobiles were invented, right? So then many people moved to Detroit so they could help with the automobile production. So all of that said, that leaves us with C, the growth of the automobile industry. Now let's do a little bit of thinking. Right now, or at least 2000, it was ranked 10th in most populous cities. Do you think in the 2050 chart, Detroit will be on that list? I guess we'll have to wait and see. Question 5. Which of these historical events best explains why San Francisco was a part of the list in 1900? Okay, so this is again looking back at history. What was happening in 1900 or before 1900 to make San Francisco such a populous city? So let's go through each one. The end of the Civil War. Did that have any impact on the growth of San Francisco? No. Right? The Civil War was not taking place in that area of the country. Okay, the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad. So that's the railroad going from one end of the country all the way across to the other end in San Francisco. Yes, right? That was a huge event in U.S. history that really made San Francisco grow. But let's look at C and D. The beginning of the Pony Express service. Okay, so the Pony Express service is where horses would go from, I think, St. Louis maybe? St. Louis all the way to San Francisco. And horses would run really fast. Maybe for 30 miles or so, there would be a rider on a horse. They would have mail, and the horse would run like the wind, right? And then once they hit that 30 miles, then another horse would run. And so this was really, really impactful at the time. But did that have anything to do with the growth of San Francisco? No. No, it didn't. Okay, the development of gas-powered automobiles. Again, that doesn't really showcase why San Francisco would have grown. So the answer here is B. What conclusion can be drawn from the information in this table? So A, Texas was the most populous state in 2000. Can we tell that from the table? No, we can't. Even though Texas had 3 of the largest cities on the table, it doesn't mean that it was the most populous. We can't tell that from the table. New York will continue to see a steady rise in population. Can we tell that? No. All we can tell is that for the past 200 years, New York City was the largest city in the United States. So now C and D are very similar, but there's one small tweak. So let me read it and I'll show you. From 1800 to 2000, the majority of the 10 most populous cities have shifted from states in the north and east to states in the west and south. Okay, and then D is exactly the same, except it's saying shifted from states in the south and west to states in the north and east. Okay, so you really have to picture this in your mind, right? So we have the northeast, so that would be New York, Boston, right? And then we saw that shift into the south and west, right? So we have San Francisco, San Diego, Los Angeles, several cities in Texas, right? So is that going from the north and east to the west and south, or is that flipped? It's C, right? So we go from the north and east, shifting to the west and south. Question 7. Which region has the fewest cities listed in the table? Okay, so I want you to divide the United States. So cut it down the half, cut it in the middle, and we've got our northwest, northeast, southwest, southeast. So looking at this, we have northwest. So the largest cities in the northwest would probably be Seattle, Portland, Salt Lake City. Are those on this list? No, they're not, right? So let's hold on to that one. Okay, B is the northeast. So there we're looking at New York, Boston. That's definitely prevalent on this list. So B is not it. Then we have our southwest. So that's really going to be looking at your California cities, Arizona, Nevada. Yeah, we've got those on there, right? Especially as we look into the 1950s and 2000s. And then our southeast would be cities like Miami, Atlanta, New Orleans, right? So this not as much as some of the other areas, but it is still a little bit prevalent, right? We still do have a few of those cities, just not quite as much. So the answer is A, the northwest. So if you're looking to move to a place that doesn't have as many people, I guess the northwest is where you should move to. Which city in this table is not a part of any state? Okay, New York City is part of which state? New York. So that's not it. Washington, D.C. is our capital, the capital of the United States. And it does not belong to a specific state. And our founding fathers planned it that way so that, if a state is the capital, it makes them, maybe feel a little bit better or have more powers. No, we wanted to just have a city with no state. So B is our answer, right? St. Louis is Missouri and Detroit is Michigan. We made it! Great job for being here, for sticking with me. Do me a favor and share this video with one person that you know, whether it's another teacher or a student. Share this video and comment down below and tell me that you shared the video and tell me who you shared the video with, and I can give them my warmest welcome. Friends, thank you for being here. Again, make sure you pull out a map and look at the 10 most populous U.S. cities and just have a general understanding of U.S. geography so that you do a little bit better on your test. Thank you for being here. Make sure you believe in yourself just like I believe in you. Peace and God bless.